Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries this evening, or whatever time it is there for you, as I'm always saying. As previewed, today we're going to talk about my directorial theater debut, one and only, kinda, and that was, oh God, late 80s. Anyway, so regarding directing in general, it has been sort of, well, my background is in theater. We've established that through so many shows. I was actually classically trained from trainable age until, I don't know, well into my teens. Classically trained, theater trained. I have been to the best of screen, film and television teachers, acting teachers. So, I covered that ground later. But initially, all of my training was stage. La Mama, Lee Strasberg, Actor Studio, showcases, performance at Actor Studio, and lots of very high grade, quality film and television teachers. But we're promoting. We are focusing on my directorial debut. So a theater, as I said. So that was a show called My Cup Ranneth Over. It's sort of a mid-level comedy play. Mostly comedy. And it was presented to me to direct by the Celtic Arts Center, which had a theater in it on Hollywood Boulevard. It's a one-act play, not like 20 minutes. I mean, it's a good-sized play, but it's a one-act play, no intermission, not time for intermission. It's not very long. And it's not very well known. Robert Patrick is not a very well-known stage writer, but I chose it. Well, it was offered to me, and the material I could work with. So I had dreamed of directing since I directed sort of, to the best of my ability in fifth grade, a play. It was silly. It was disjointed, of course. I was in fifth grade, but I loved it. That's when I knew I loved directing of any kind. Theater, big time, but, film and television. So let's see. Then I applied. No, I was honored in communications at my private high school for directing a film with sort of my soulmate friend at the time. Her name was Dana. Beautiful, beautiful woman, and absolutely unparalleled novelist. But I'm not going to tell you your last name. So, in this, it was a black and white film. We co-directed it. My God, we rented props for certain angles that we could not afford. We had full casting sessions. One excellent actress, scream queen, as they say, who went on to politics in Nova Scotia, I think, of all things. The other was a lovely gentleman that I went to high school with. The other was my dad, and the other was a Clairol model. Go figure. Very dark film, very ambiguous and very dark film. So then my directing desires exploded, and I applied to USC Film School. Where they only accept like 5, every year or whatever. I had a good shot, with my background and all that, but I chose a horrendous book to do an essay on for the entrance exam. It was off the top of my head. It's just a hideous novel written by a British writer from way too long ago. I'm not even going to tell you the name of it. It's so fucking embarrassing. But there you go. So I was offered my cup runneth over, as I said. I picked two of my best actresses, my best, belonged to me, but one was one that was a student of someone very close to me. The other was the same, both students of acting at the time. Now one of them is a very established teacher. The other, I have no idea where she went. She disappeared off the face of the earth. But two very good actresses. The play was a one-act play taken place in the 70s, of note, I will tell you later, very 70s. One was a columnist, and the other was sort of like her ditzy roommate, who was actually quite funny. So the writer was like the straight man, and the ditzy one, not really in true life ditzy, but that was the character, was sort of the comedian, the straight man. So it worked. It was funny. It was, it was an amusing kind of, crack a joke here and there. It's fun. So, rehearsals. Okay. This is how Sean operates. And I won't get into it because we have discussed my methods ad nauseum and my anti-methods with regard to the classic method. So I believe in immersion training. So my rehearsals started considerably earlier than one would start a theater rehearsal. And that is because I believe in immersion. I won't go into it much, but my technique leans very heavily into immersion of the techniques and methods into the brain, almost like a Manchurian candidate. So easy to flip that switch. Bordering on self-hypnosis. I'm not going to get into anymore because it's controversial, because I'm classically method trained, whatever. So these rehearsals went on extensively. I think, God, before production, maybe a month. I don't want to say a month, but definitely a few weeks. I go over the same exercises. Basically, it's 80% of me talking and 20% of you listening. You can ask a question. Clarification, that's it. You listen and I embed. So I did this for quite some time. Sort of had to introduce my method, get them on board with it, and then do it. Because, actually it's easier for me to teach completely untrained people. Like, I would rather take Jane from Omaha and work with her. Not rather, but as opposed to a studying actress, a working actress, a method actress, because there's very little I can do with that. Because that has been so embedded that I require a power wash. And you can't really power wash in heavily embedded material. You just have to go with that method and just, run with it, I guess, with your crapshoot in hand. I don't believe that happens with my method. So, immersion training over. Okay, now I have to direct the play. I have to production design the play. I have to light the play. I have to everything the play. So my first order of business is that since she is a columnist, one of them in the 70s, I went to Hollywood Boulevard and bought every Cosmopolitan magazine I could find. Now, at the time, Hollywood Boulevard would have like boxes of like old Playgirls or Playboys or Hustler or Cosmopolitan's, Vogue, like vintage Vogue magazines. So I poured through all these boxes and I found must have been like 10 Cosmopolitans. Very much the thing to read in the 70s, very much. Who made the Cosmopolitan cover? Plus, pretty good context in that magazine as opposed to like a fashion magazine. So, I got like these 10 Cosmopolitans. I tore off the covers and I think I framed them cheaply instead of just tacking them on the wall. So a whole wall of Cosmopolitans behind her inspiration, and she's a furious typist into her columns, living with this ditzy young woman. So, hijinks ensues, and so it was a 3-day run. It was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no matinee. Good sized theater, not huge. You know, what do they say? 99 person theater or whatever they say. It was about that. You know, good location, nice theater, not gross, for my first venture. So once the sets are done and the lighting and the wardrobe is done, again, vintage, I put gold necklaces on one of the actresses and I put them in the dressing room. Of course, they were gone. My mom was absolutely livid. They were her gold chains. I don't know why I didn't go buy just cheap gold chains. Anyway, it worked. It looked good. So the play's a one-act play. So I wish I could remember, but somehow it's hinged on sort of like somebody breaking in or like harassing them at the call box, you know, where you get buzzed in, you know, like Rhoda, the doorman. So it's supposed to be like ripped off to like get in the building or vandalize, or maybe, I don't know if it's an ex-boyfriend. I wish I could remember. I don't think so. Anyway, so in this sort of critical scene where this drama happens with the ex-boyfriend, whatever he was, it's supposed to sound like he has like literally ripped the intercom out and trashed the mailboxes and loud banging. So that's sort of like the linchpin of that part of the play, and discussing it and who was it and oh my God, and then a little funniness. But if that didn't happen, there would be no context for the rest of the play virtually. So I had to get I had to record the loudest, clankiest, bangiest thing I could think of, metal and everything, which I did. And I looped that into the soundtrack. So the first performance went okay, you know, like a dress rehearsal kind of type performance. The second performance was a frigging disaster. Why? Because the sound, the recorded sound of the crashing and banging wouldn't work. So there's the actress, my poor actress, sitting on the stage waiting for the intercom mailbox crash smash, and it doesn't happen. So she's there, I'm there, we're there, the audience is there waiting for something to happen. And it's not happening. And if it doesn't happen, none of the rest of it makes any sense. So in my panic, watching this from the sound booth, from the whatever, control booth, I just took my hand and wiped everything off of everything because it could be heard. So I swiped all the equipment off one side, I swiped all of the other stuff the other side, and it did sound like crashing and smashing and whatever, except it was happening in the control room. But, you know, audiences sort of kind of roll with it. My actresses were a little shocked because they expected that tape that they've been hearing for 3 weeks. And suddenly the control room is out of control. And the people with me are none too happy with my wiping their counters full of equipment. But I had to. It would, literally the rest of the play would not make sense. What am I supposed to do? Crash, burn. You know, like pretend that happened to the audience? No. So I swiped everything off the counters, not the lighting, not the sound, which wasn't working anyway. And it worked. It just sounded like we didn't have like, you know, sophisticated sound equipment, so we had to do it manually. So they bought it. So that was still a disaster because it threw the actors off. So it got bungled. And it really, Jackie Lynn Colton, I'm not going to go into, I met into before, but she was my mentor, a big producer at La Mama, where I was a member, extremely famous theater group. I invited her that night and it was a disaster. The sound didn't work, the actors were thrown off, and I was like, oh my God, oh, Jackie. So, having been pumped from that failure, I was determined to make the third night perfect. Triple checked my sound, did 2 dress rehearsals. Bingo. Perfect. Couldn't ask for anything better. Sound worked, nice and loud. They were on it. It was embedded. They were funny. It was perfection. So I walked away from that performance, at least, although I really didn't direct much of anything after that. A showcase, scene readings for people, and classes, but never a full theater direction. So I was really jazzed about that. It's a memory I really take with me still to this day that I at least directed theater. Big deal for me. Having been trained that way and being able to do it and all that, you can imagine. So, walked away from it, happy campers. Jackie Lynn Colton understood my disaster on the second night. Third night, when one perform, even if everything craps out, when you get one excellent performance, exactly the way you envisioned it, everything working, it makes all of the others worthwhile because you pulled it off. I know it sounds weird, but anyway, that's kind of how it happens sometimes. It did for me. So again, as previewed, I hope I'm true to form. That was my acting debut. No, that was a long time ago. My official, legitimate directorial stage debut. That was it. And you won't find me directing any more theater anytime soon. But I pulled it off, and it was one of the highlights of my career. I have maybe a few. That was definitely one of them. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I know, as usual, it ran way too long, but I'm sorry. I get in the groove, and what can I say? So, of course, I will see you tomorrow with a preview and a teaser, as usual. I love you guys. You put up with me more than my friends and family. So thank you for sharing all of this with me on a regular basis. And speaking of regularity, again, see you tomorrow. Okay, take care.